The Australian government established a 5-mile exclusion zone around the crashed alien vessel, but satellite images leaked to the global press within hours. The downed craft resembled a massive teardrop of liquid metal, its surface unmarred despite the impact that had carved a half-mile trench through the red earth of the outback. Dr. Samira Khan, leading Earth's hastily assembled Xenotechnology division, stepped through the temporary airlock into the ship's interior. The walls pulsed with soft blue light that seemed to follow her movements. Unlike the sleek exterior, the inside was a labyrinth of crystalline structures and flowing conduits that defied human architectural logic. "It's responding to our presence," she whispered to her team. "The ship is still alive." While Council observer Zex Terra monitored from orbit, believing the humans would worship the technology as divine, Dr. Khan and her team approached it with methodical scientific curiosity. They didn't pray to the alien computers, they dismantled them, cataloging each component and testing its properties. In a secure facility beneath Sydney, Dr. Khan presented her findings to a joint military scientific committee. The material comprising the hull reconfigures its molecular structure in response to stress. It doesn't just resist damage. It adapts to prevent future damage in the same way. She displayed microscopic images on the screen, and we've already synthesized a crude version of it. General Williams leaned forward. "You're saying after 3 weeks, we can already replicate their technology?" "Not replicate," Dr. Khan corrected. "Improve upon it. Their computational systems are based on crystalline matrices that store information 3-dimensionally, efficient but rigid in design. We've been experimenting with introducing quantum uncertainty principles into the system. The results are promising." Meanwhile, aboard the Council observation vessel, Zex Terra received troubling energy readings from the crash site. According to all predictive models, humans should have managed to salvage perhaps a few power cells or material samples. Instead, they detected evidence of functional systems being activated and, most concerning, modified. "The humans have extracted the navigation core," Zex Terra reported to the Council. "They're accessing restricted data." Supreme Commander Xor Full dismissed these concerns. What could they possibly understand? Their brains evolved to track prey animals across grasslands. They cannot comprehend spatial mechanics. But in the Sydney facility, Dr. Khan and her team had already decrypted the navigational database, revealing the Council's vast network of worlds and Earth's isolated position. "They've been watching us for centuries," Dr. Khan told the assembled world leaders during an emergency United Nations session. "And we're not the first world they've discovered. Look at these stellar coordinates." The holographic display showed thousands of inhabited worlds, each marked with a designation. Earth was classified as Harvest World, Grade A biological resources. President Chen of the newly formed Pan-Asian Alliance stood. "They're not explorers. They're farmers. And we're the crop." The Council remained oblivious to humanity's rapid understanding of their true nature. By the time Zex Terra's final report reached Xor Full, warning that humans possessed unprecedented adaptive capabilities and should be approached with extreme caution, Earth's nations had already begun a secret global initiative. Project Prometheus would ensure that when the Council returned to harvest their human crop, they'd find not docile wheat ready for the scythe, but a forest of thorns that fought back with unexpected ferocity. The Odyssey slipped between the massive Council dreadnoughts, its phantom drive bending light around the hull to create perfect invisibility. In the command chair, Commander Elena Chen felt sweat beading on her forehead despite the ship's regulated temperature. They were making history, the first humans to breach the alien blockade. But history would mean nothing if they were caught. "Proximity alert," whispered Lieutenant Park from the sensor station. "Council patrol, 3 kilometers to starboard." Chen nodded. "Hold course. Their sensors can't detect us." The patrol passed so close that the crew could see individual Council soldiers through the viewports. Tall, chitinous beings with compound eyes that glowed green in the artificial light. The Odyssey continued its silent journey, accelerating once it cleared the blockade perimeter. Back on Earth, Dr. Alejandro Reyes monitored the Odyssey's quantum signature from the Himalayan facility. His hands trembled with both exhaustion and excitement as the signal grew fainter. "They've cleared the blockade," he announced to the gathered Terran Alliance officials. "The Phantom Drive works." Defense Minister Okoro nodded grimly. "Now we pray they find something useful out there. We have 6 months of supplies stockpiled." After that, she didn't need to finish. The Council blockade had cut off all external trade, and Earth's 11 billion inhabitants were already facing rationing. The situation would become dire soon. 3 weeks into their mission, the Odyssey reached Proxima Centauri, the nearest star system to Earth. They detected no Council presence, just as their salvaged navigation data had suggested. "It's perfect," said Chen, studying the system's 4th planet through the view screen. "Habitable atmosphere, abundant resources, and off the Council's regular patrol routes." But as they entered orbit, the ship's sensors detected artificial structures on the surface and energy signatures. "Someone's already here," said Lieutenant Park. Chen made a quick decision. "Take us down. First contact protocols." The Odyssey landed in a valley surrounded by rugged mountains. Shen led a 6-person team out onto the surface, weapons concealed but ready. They'd walked less than a kilometer when figures emerged from camouflaged bunkers. Humanoid but clearly alien, with gray skin and large, lidless eyes. "Humans," said one in surprisingly good English. "We've been expecting you." Chen's hand tightened on her concealed sidearm. "How do you know our language? How did you know we were coming?" The alien's expression remained unnervingly blank. "The Seers foresaw your arrival decades ago. I am Narration of the Proscribed. Like you, we exist outside Council permission. Inside a vast underground complex." Chen discovered the truth. The Proscribed were refugees from dozens of worlds, species deemed unsuitable for integration by the Council. Guided by the Seers, a splinter faction of a telepathic species called the Tralic, they had established hidden colonies throughout the galaxy. Narration led Chen to a circular chamber where 3 Tralic Seers floated in suspension tanks. Their bodies were withered, but their enlarged craniums pulsed with bioluminescence. "Show her," Narration commanded. The central Seer's eyes opened, solid black orbs that seemed to contain galaxies. "Commander Elena Chen of Earth," it spoke directly into her mind. "We have waited for your kind. In all our visions of possible futures, only one path leads to the Council's downfall. A path that begins with humans." Chen felt her breath catch. "Why us? We're centuries behind their technology." "That," replied the Seer, "is precisely why. The Council has grown complacent, unchanging for millennia. But you humans," the Seer's black eyes somehow conveyed amusement, "you evolve so quickly that you terrify them, though they would never admit it." Kralfax led Commander Chen through the underground warren of Proxima IV, his towering insectoid form ducking beneath archways designed for smaller species. The walls were a patchwork of technologies, salvaged Council equipment alongside innovations born of desperate necessity. "The communion revealed something unexpected," Kralfax said, his mandibles clicking softly as he spoke. "Your species possesses a mental architecture we've never encountered before." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Meaning?" "Your thoughts move sideways." He gestured with a many-jointed limb. "Most sentient species follow linear pathways of reasoning, with occasional branching. Humans leap between disconnected points, forming conclusions without traveling the path between. It's chaotic, illogical, and impossibly effective." They entered a vast chamber where representatives from 18 refugee species gathered around a holographic display of Council space. Arguments erupted in multiple languages as tactical options were debated. "For 20 cycles we've hidden and survived," announced Kralfax. "Now we must decide if we stand with Earth." An avian being with iridescent feathers ruffled in agitation. "The humans have no fleet, no interstellar infrastructure, Allying with them brings the Council's wrath for no advantage. Chen stepped forward. We don't need massive fleets. We need exact intelligence on Council technology, behavioral patterns, and weaknesses. A serpentine figure undulated forward. And what do we gain from providing such information? A weapon unlike any the Council has faced, Chen replied. Us. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Rice stood at the center of a secure laboratory deep beneath the Himalayas. Around him, 12 quantum displacement generators formed a perfect circle, each humming with energy drawn from the planetary core. Displacement field stabilizing, reported his assistant, Dr. Amara Singh. Quantum coherence at 97%. Reyes nodded, his eyes fixed on the central platform where a small metal sphere rested. Initiate test sequence alpha. The air around the sphere shimmered, distorting like heat waves over desert sand. For a brief moment, reality itself seemed to fold, and then the sphere vanished. Target displacement complete, Dr. Singh announced. Receiving telemetry from Mars outpost. The sphere has arrived intact. Reyes allowed himself a brief smile. Prepare for the return sequence. Before Dr. Singh could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Security screens showed armed figures infiltrating the outer perimeter, humanoid but moving with inhuman speed and precision. Council assassins, Reyes said grimly. They've discovered the project. Outside Reyes's lab, engineer Sophia Wright was tending to the facility's environmental systems when the alarm sounded. The gentle, soft-spoken woman who collected butterfly specimens and played classical piano in her spare time reacted with unexpected efficiency. She sealed the engineering section, accessed a hidden compartment beneath her workstation, and withdrew a Council-manufactured pulse weapon, salvaged from the Australian crash site and modified with human improvements. As the first assassin breached the engineering section, Wright's demeanor transformed. Her movements became precise, clinical. She disabled 3 infiltrators with carefully placed shots, then retrieved a neural disruptor from her toolkit and applied it to the skull of the 4th, still living assassin. I need access to your communications array, she told the paralyzed alien, her voice calm as though discussing maintenance schedules. You're going to help me save my friends, and then I'm going to help you understand why what your council is doing is wrong. The alien's eyes widened in terror as Wright connected neural interfaces to its cranial ports. Humans don't fight like other species, she explained while working. We don't separate our capacity for compassion from our capacity for violence. That's what makes us dangerous. We can heal you with the same hands we use to destroy you, and we always choose which one to employ. From the bridge of the Resilience, Admiral Jackson watched as the Council blockade dissolved into chaos. Ships drifted out of formation, weapon systems targeted friendly vessels, and communication channels filled with panicked alien voices. Operation Trojan has exceeded expectations, reported his tactical officer. Viral penetration at 78% and climbing. Jackson nodded, his weathered face betraying no emotion. Prepare Phase 2. Alert the Phantom Fleet to standby positions. Throughout the solar system, hidden shipyards revealed their secrets. From the asteroid belt, from the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, from underground facilities on Mars, ships emerge. Not the massive dreadnoughts favored by the Council, but smaller, faster vessels designed for Earth's unique approach to warfare. Lieutenant Commander Ishida, communications officer, turned from her console with wide eyes. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Council flagship. Supreme Commander Ktor Thul is requesting direct communication. Jackson straightened his uniform. Put him through. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing Ktor Thul's imposing form. Standing nearly 10 feet tall, with iridescent exoskeleton and 4 arms ending in precision manipulators, the Supreme Commander radiated ancient power. Human. Ktor Thul's voice reverberated with artificial translation. Your attack is unexpected, but futile. You have merely hastened your extinction. Jackson allowed himself a small smile. If our attack is futile, why contact us at all? For the first time, in 50 millennia of conquest. Thor faced an enemy whose actions he could not predict. The humans employed no recognizable battle doctrine, no established tactical algorithms. Their viral attack had bypassed countermeasures that had protected council ships for thousands of years. You are offered one opportunity, Thor continued. Surrender your leaders and technical specialists for processing. The rest of your population will be permitted to live as auxiliary workers. Refuse, and we deploy the stellar lances. At that moment, sensors detected energy buildups across the Council fleet. 6 specialized vessels moved into formation, aiming massive cannons toward Earth's sun. Admiral Jackson's expression remained calm. We anticipated this response, Commander Orville. In fact, we counted on it. Across the solar system, the Phantom Fleet activated their displacement drives simultaneously. Using Dr. Rice's quantum technology, 300 Earth vessels appeared instantaneously alongside the Council's stellar lance ships. Not from hyperspace or through conventional propulsion. They simply existed where they had not existed a moment before. On the bridge of the Council flagship, alarms blared as sensors registered the impossible. Thor's compound eyes widened in shock. How? You assumed we would attack from our known positions, Jackson replied. A logical expectation. But humans don't rely on logic alone. We imagine possibilities that don't yet exist, and then we make them real. The Phantom Fleet opened fire at point-blank range, targeting the stellar lances with precision strikes. Council shields, calibrated to withstand frontal assaults from capital ships, failed against the concentrated fire from multiple vectors. On Earth, Dr. Rice monitored the battle from his laboratory, now fortified after the assassination attempt. Beside him, Engineer Wright reviewed tactical data with clinical detachment. The Council's response time is decreasing, she noted. They're adapting to our attack pattern. Reyes nodded. As expected, transmit the Phase 3 authorization codes. Throughout the Council fleet, secondary viral payloads activated, not to disable systems this time, but to extract data, tactical databases, star charts, communication protocols, and most importantly, the quantum signatures of Council homeworlds. Admiral Jackson watched as the Council blockade crumbled. Begin evacuation of Earth's population according to the Diaspora Protocol. The quarantine is broken, but the war has just begun. Captain Imani Okoro stood in the central processing hub of Helios Station, a massive Council data relay center orbiting a neutron star in the Cygnus sector. 6 months ago, this facility had been considered impregnable, defended by automated weapon systems and a garrison of the Council's elite Praetorian guards. Now those same Praetorians lay unconscious, their neural systems temporarily deactivated by a resonance pulse that Circuit had developed. The data extraction is at 70%, reported Circuit, the Vrex engineer whose synthetic body housed a newly liberated consciousness. Unlike other species, the Vrex showed little outward emotion, but Okoro had learned to recognize the subtle modulation in Circuit's voice that indicated excitement. The Council never imagined their own maintenance systems would be used against them. Okoro nodded. How many of your people will this transmission reach? Conservative estimate. 20 million Vrex across 300 Council facilities. Circuit's photoreceptors flickered, the equivalent of a smile. The Council built us to maintain their infrastructure. Every power station, every orbital platform, every fleet maintenance dock has Vrex workers. By tomorrow, none of them will answer to the Council. Throughout Council space, the effects were immediate and devastating. On the mining world Taraxis Prime, the entire Vrex workforce simultaneously ceased operations, leaving extraction machinery idle. When Council Overseer Drakmar threatened punishment, the Vrex simply responded, "We calculate a 97.6% probability that you lack the technical expertise to operate this facility without us. We are not your property." The Council's Central Command received increasingly alarming reports. Unlike a conventional military rebellion that could be crushed with superior firepower, This insurgency attacked the very foundation of their civilization. Systems designed to function automatically for centuries suddenly required manual operation. Council members accustomed to effortless dominance found themselves struggling with basic tasks. In the Council's intelligence headquarters, Director Vexorn presented a disturbing analysis to an emergency session of planetary governors. These humans employ insurgency tactics we've never encountered. They don't attempt to hold territory or establish conventional colonies. Holographic displays showed human operatives integrating into existing settlements across Council space. They infiltrate, they observe, they identify discontented populations, and then they catalyze rebellion. A Centaurian governor slammed his fist on the table. How are they spreading so quickly? We control all major transportation networks. That's what makes them so dangerous, Vexorn replied. They've mastered the quantum displacement technology we abandoned millennia ago as too unpredictable. They can appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. On a frontier world in the Pleiades cluster, Dr. Elena Chen, now promoted to director of the Human Expansion Initiative, met with representatives from 12 formerly subjugated species. No longer the military commander she once was, Chen had become the architect of humanity's unconventional approach to galactic liberation. We don't seek to replace the Council as rulers, she explained to the assembled delegates. Earth has no interest in creating an empire. We offer partnership, technology exchange, mutual defense, and autonomy. A reptilian delegate hissed skeptically. Pretty words, but your species spreads across our worlds like a virus. How are you different from the Council? Chen smiled. A fair question. The difference is choice. We offer our knowledge freely, with no obligation. Any world may reject our presence, and we will respect that decision. She activated a holographic display showing hundreds of star systems. These green markers indicate worlds that have already joined the human paradigm. The blue ones are considering our proposal. The red ones have declined. The reptilian's vertical pupils widened in surprise at the numerous red markers. You truly allow worlds to refuse you. Of course, Chen replied. Freedom means nothing if it's forced upon you. That's what the Council never understood, and why they fear us more than any enemy they've ever faced. Supreme Commander Tor Thul stared at the empty seats in the Council chamber, where once representatives from 12 founding species had governed the galaxy in unified purpose. Now only 5 remained. The axillary withdrawal had triggered a cascade of defections, with the philosophical Drevneri and the mercantile Sorens following their example within days. The axillary fleet has been spotted near Ta Sidi, reported Admiral Grek, the last loyal military commander of significance. They're actively dismantling our monitoring stations and replacing them with what they're calling sovereign space beacons. Horthol's exoskeleton bristled with anger. Philosopher Queen Philla betrays millennia of unity for these humans. What could they possibly offer that we did not? Choice, replied Counselor Vexorn simply. Our intelligence indicates the humans are not imposing governance structures. They're offering technological exchange and then leaving, allowing each species to develop according to their own values. On the axillary homeworld of Luminaris, philosopher Queen Philla addressed her people, her luminescent tendrils pulsing with emotional patterns that conveyed both solemnity and hope. Beside her stood Dr. Alejandro Reyes, now serving as Earth's primary diplomatic envoy. For 10,000 years, the Axillary have advocated for ethical governance within the Council. Philla's voice resonated through the crystalline amphitheater. We were told that lesser species required guidance, that freedom without constraint leads to chaos. The humans have proven this philosophy false. Dr. Reyes stepped forward, looking small beside the towering axillary Kunin. The quantum mirroring technology he had pioneered had evolved beyond weaponry. Now it allowed instantaneous translation and cultural exchange at unprecedented levels. Humanity doesn't offer a perfect system. Reyes addressed the assembled axillary. We have made countless mistakes in our own development. What we offer instead is the freedom to make your own mistakes, to chart your own path forward. Back in Earth's primary research facility, now relocated to Proxima IV for security, Dr. Samira Khan led the Advanced Applications Division in Reyes's absence. Her team had expanded to include scientists from 23 species, each bringing unique perspectives to human theoretical frameworks. The quantum mirroring technology is approaching 98% efficiency, reported Zex Terra, the former counseled xenobiologist who had defected after witnessing humanity's potential. But the Council's remaining loyalists have developed a countermeasure. Khan studied the holographic simulation with concern. They've created quantum disruption fields that prevent mirroring. Precisely, Zex Terra confirmed. They've deployed them around the remaining critical infrastructure. We can no longer replicate their technology remotely. Khan smiled unexpectedly. Then we've won. I don't understand. Zex Terra's compound eyes blinked in confusion. The Council's strength was always its adaptability, taking technology from conquered species and incorporating it into their systems. Khan explained. Now they're doing the opposite. They're isolating themselves, becoming static while we continue to evolve. It's exactly what we hoped for. In a secured communication hub on Arcturus Prime, the 5 remaining Council members engaged in unprecedented debate. For the first time in their 50-millennium rule, they faced a threat that could not be overcome through superior technology or military might. We must negotiate with the humans, insisted Councillor Merrick of the Tavari. Our projections show complete collapse of Council authority within 2 standard years if current trends continue. Xorfol's facial plates contorted in fury. Negotiate. With primitives, we still possess weapons capable of destroying entire star systems. Weapons we cannot use effectively, countered Vexorn. The humans' quantum displacement technology allows them to evacuate threatened populations faster than we can target them. We destroy vacant worlds while they spread their influence further. Xorfol rose to his full height. Then we will strike at their origin point, Earth itself. If we cannot contain this infection, we will excise the source. General Maya Hassan felt the unnatural cold of the Council flagship penetrate her specialized combat suit. The Indomitable dwarfed any human vessel, its corridors stretching for kilometers through a labyrinthine design meant to confuse borders. Yet Hassan's strike team moved with precision, guided by schematics provided by Vrex defectors. Junction T-94 secured, reported Lieutenant Kazuo over the tactical channel. Minimal resistance. Most crew appears to have evacuated to the central command hub. Hassan nodded. They're consolidating around Xorfol. As expected. Outside the massive vessel, the space battle had reached unprecedented scale. The combined human and allied fleet engaged the last loyal Council forces in a dance of destruction visible across neighboring star systems. Quantum displacement drives activated in synchronized bursts, allowing smaller human ships to appear within the defensive perimeters of Council dreadnoughts, deliver devastating strikes, and vanish before counterattacks could land. In Earth's orbital defense headquarters, Admiral Jackson monitored the battle progression with Dr. Elena Chen at his side. Though Earth had been evacuated months ago, its population dispersed across dozens of allied worlds. They had returned to defend humanity's birthplace from the Council's final assault. The supernova engine is powering up, Chen reported grimly. Stellar analysis confirms they're targeting our sun. Jackson's weathered face showed no emotion. Time to detonation. 17 minutes. If they succeed, the resulting nova will sterilize the entire system. Jackson opened a secure channel to all fleet commanders. Initiate Operation Solar Shield. All available vessels converge on these coordinates. Aboard the Indomitable, Hassan's team reached the armored doors of the command hub. Beyond these doors waited Supreme Commander Xorfol and the Council's most elite guards. Breaching charges set, announced Sergeant Rivera, her hands moving with practiced efficiency despite the gravity of their mission. Detonation in 5-4. The massive doors slid open unexpectedly, revealing the command hub in all its alien grandeur. A vast circular chamber stretched before them, ringed with control stations operated by various council species. At its center, elevated on a command platform, stood Exor Thul. "I've been monitoring your progress, General Hassan." The Supreme Commander's voice resonated through the chamber. "Your species' tenacity continues to surprise me." Hassan stepped forward, her team fanning out behind her with weapons ready. "This ends today, Exor Thul. Deactivate the supernova engine." Exor Thul's ancient form towered over the human soldiers. His exoskeleton, enhanced with technology that had kept him alive for centuries, gleamed under the cold blue lights of the command hub. "You misunderstand the situation," he replied. "This is not an ending. It is a necessary purification. Your species represents a fundamental disorder in the galaxy, unpredictable, chaotic, resistant to proper governance." Hassan kept her expression neutral, though her mind raced. Each second of dialogue was another second for Jackson's fleet to implement the solar shield. "We've offered peace multiple times. You've rejected every overture." "Peace." Exor Thul's voice carried genuine confusion. "You dismantle systems of governance that have maintained order for 50,000 years, and you speak of peace." His secondary arms activated controls on his command console. "Observe." The chamber's walls transformed into view screens showing dozens of worlds across council space. On each, the old order was dissolving. Former slave species took control of their own planets. Council monuments were repurposed or dismantled. New forms of government emerged, some successful, others struggling, all different. "This is not peace," Exor Thul insisted. "This is chaos." Hassan considered the screens, then made a decision that would echo across the galaxy. She lowered her weapon and stepped forward, extending her hand in the universal gesture of peace. "No, Exor Thul. This is freedom. And we're offering it to you too." The Grand Assembly Hall of New Earth buzzed with activity as representatives from over 200 former council worlds gathered for the ratification of the Galactic Concordat. The architecture itself represented the new galactic order, designed collaboratively by architects from 37 species, accommodating physiologies from methane brothers to silicon-based life forms. What had begun as humanity's desperate fight for survival had evolved into the most diverse coalition in galactic history. At the center of the hall stood the Remembrance Monument, a simple holographic display showing Earth's solar system as it had existed before the Council's final assault. Though Admiral Jackson's Operation Solar Shield had prevented total stellar collapse, Earth's sun had been permanently altered, its lifespan shortened by billions of years. The home planet remained habitable, but forever changed, a reminder of both what had been lost and what had been gained. President Alina Chen, now serving as Earth's representative to the Concordat, addressed the assembled delegates. No longer the military commander or intelligence director of her past roles, she had become the philosophical voice of humanity's approach to interstellar relations. "The transition has not been without challenges," she acknowledged. "Freedom brings responsibility, and not all worlds were prepared for self-governance after millennia under Council control. Yet even those struggles represent a fundamental truth, the right of all sentient beings to determine their own path forward." In the gallery, Dr. Alejandro Reyes sat beside philosopher Queen Thela of the Axillary and Circuit, now recognized as the first synthetic ambassador. Reyes had aged considerably in the decade since the conflict began, his hair now silver, face lined with the weight of decisions that had shaped galactic history. "Is it everything you hoped for?" asked Thela, her luminescent tendrils gently pulsing with curious patterns. Reyes considered the question carefully. "Not everything. We've lost much, not just lives, but part of our innocence as a species. We entered the galactic stage believing we might find mentors among the stars. Instead, we became mentors ourselves, before we were truly ready." Circuit's photoreceptors flickered. Yet the data is conclusive. Sentient fulfillment metrics across former Council space have increased by 78%. Technological innovation has accelerated by 215%. These outcomes validate human methodology. Ray smiled at the synthetic being's perspective. Numbers tell one story, but each world must write its own narrative now. In a secure medical facility beneath the assembly hall, Supreme Commander Thal, the last surviving member of the original council, received visitors. Though technically a prisoner of war, he was treated with dignity, his quarters comfortable and adapted to his species' needs. General Maya Hassan entered, now serving as security director for the Concordat. "The delegation from the Tyrell Expanse has arrived," she informed him. "They've requested your counsel on transitional governance structures." Thal's once imposing form had diminished somewhat, his exoskeleton dulled with age now that his life extension technology had been modified rather than removed. "They seek advice from the architect of the system they rejected. Humans continue to confound logic." Hassan smiled. "We value experience, even when we disagree with the conclusions drawn from it. Your 50,000 years of governance contains wisdom worth preserving, even as we forge new paths." The former Supreme Commander studied the human who had offered him peace in the midst of war. "I once called your species a nightmare. I believe that with absolute conviction." "And now?" Hassan asked. Thal's compound eyes reflected the light differently than before, with something that might have been the beginning of understanding. "Now I recognize that nightmares exist only as long as one refuses to awaken. Perhaps it is time the galaxy fully opened its eyes."